Going. Okay, everybody. Hey, this is the fourth class with Ken Dost and Carrying Stones and Digging Holes weekly talk. And today's the fourth class, language and whatever else that Ken is going to present for us. So we're just going to hop right in and roll roll with the punches.
And I'm gonna I'm gonna take off my video because I see my bandwidth is low, so I don't want to get disconnected. So I'm gonna take off my video. Plus, nobody wants to look at my ugly mug anyhow, so everyone to listen to the words.
Right.
So there.
Okay.
The first thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, just go ahead and just let me know when you want to look at the documents, and then I'll screen share.
Okay, what I'd like to, I sent you three documents, three PDF documents. Let's bring those up if we can, or bring up one at a time. It doesn't matter what order you bring them up in. These are three very distinct patents that you need to become familiar with to understand kind of what's going on here as far as real estate and real property is concerned. Do you know which ones I'm talking about, Bridget? The ones I sent you this afternoon?
Yep, we got
one. Those ones right there. You can open up either.
Yep, perfect. We got this one opening, so.
Perfect. Okay, now you'll notice that this is a patent from July 7th. On the right-hand side, it says July 7th, 2015. Actually, this is an update of a patent that was really done originally back in 2002, I believe. And if we page down through this patent, and I'd really like you to spend your time and read this patent. I know that patents are very boring. They're very dull. They're not exciting. At times, they're difficult to understand. But what this really does here is it lays down, keep paging down to the abstract to where, see, these are all the other patents that reference this patent. So there's a lot of patents that reference this. What this patent is, this is what they've done to our mortgage loans. So the mortgage loan that you believed to be a negotiable instrument, that is to say, a signed, sealed, and delivered complete instrument, as we know it from Paradigm, from our parents' mortgage and their parents' mortgage. This blows that all out of the water. This proves that they have lied to us, that we have been deceived. This document here goes into all the detail of what they've done to these mortgage loans and how they fractionalize them into different investment instruments, which they have sold off separately. And this is, of course, all the equitable part of these instruments, which has nothing to do with real property, guys and girls. This has to do with annuities and insurances and estates. The one thing that you have to kind of get in your mind is that we're in a different environment these days. This is an environment that is all run by automation, and it's run by these patents. So stop right there if you could. Okay, so, back down. No, go back, Bridget, go back to the abstract. 2 more pages. 1 more. Actually, I think a couple more. I think you need to go to a couple more. I think you need to go to the very first page, actually. Go to the very first page. Right there, stop right there at the abstract. Page back down just a little bit. Right there, stop. Up just a little. Keep going. You want to go to the abstract on the left, on the right-hand side. So it'll be the next page. Oh, maybe it'll be a couple more pages. I'm sorry, but it's the abstract that you blew by.
Right there. There's the abstract.
Right there. Okay. See, perfect. Okay. What does it say? It says an electronic real estate registration system, including property, transaction, location characteristics, databases, communicating via computer networks, blah, 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 so on and so forth. What they're talking about is they're talking about registered real property interest linked to publicly recorded documentation. So what they're talking about is they're talking about a land asset contract. So what's recorded in the county is a land asset. But what they've done here, and I'll let you read these for yourself because it doesn't do me any good to go through line by line these things. I think you need to read this for yourself so you have your own aha moment, so to speak. This document, this patent, details all the different slices that they've taken off these mortgages and that they've sold off. So really what this does is also describes that these are not mortgage loans to real property agreements that we sign, that these are actual lease agreements. and that we're signing, and that we are the investors in these things, but for the fact that we have decided to knowingly, I use that term very loosely, have agreed to sell off the assets to other third-party investors. And of course, we never did that because we were never informed of these things. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and go through that on your own time, read through it, because it really is an eye-opener, and it really gives you a good indication of what we're dealing with here. The reality that we think we're looking at here, this clearly blows that reality up. And it clearly shows that there's a lot more involved here than that we were told. Now, there are two other patents that attach to this. I'm sorry, there's two other patents that I sent Bridget to post. The one is a declining a co-ownership, I believe, and the other one is a patent that is compatible with this one. Now, within one, and you don't have to worry about opening these up, Bridget, because let them go through them and read them on their own. Because we want to go.
Okay.
I'm going to go
Yeah,
through the
and
links and everything.
I'll post those. I'll post those on a blog tomorrow. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the other two patents are kind of linked together. Now, the other two patents are very important because it's based on Sharia law, okay? Now, what makes these patents very distinct is that within one of these patents, it specifically calls out mortgage electronic registration systems, specifically refers to it. Now, what has taken place here is first of all, we're one nation under God, okay? Well, we have freedom of religion, of course. We are under a Christian God. But obviously, when we're talking about Sharia law, we're talking Muslim. We're talking a different religious set that is not Christian. And this is what they've converted us to. And the reason why they did that is, if you know much about Sharia law, you know anything about it, they don't believe in interest payments and paying interest. So what do? They turned us into leases, right? So then we don't have a principal. We don't have a principal and interest that we're paying, right? They've converted us to lessors, to a commercial lease agreement. To what we're paying is we're paying lease payments. So we're not paying interest on principal, are we? And this is what they've turned us around into. And these two patents are very descriptive in this scheme that we're talking about here. And it's very important because all of these hidden accounts that are over in the Cayman Islands and the British Virgin Islands, this is all based on Sharia law. So, you know, this really what we're getting into is we're getting into the meats and bones here of what's really taking place. You have to get yourself, and I hope people are attending this, and I think the people who are attending this are cognition and are acquiring the cognition of what's really going on here. And this takes it one step further and deeper into the deep end of the pool, so to speak. And this really gets into the meats and bones of what they've done here. So I'll let you read those three patents on your own so that you can kind of, and you really have to read them on your own so that you can have your own aha moments. It doesn't do me any good to walk you through step by step. This is an area of study that is new to everybody. But has been taking place for centuries. I mean, these patents and trademarks. This is nothing new. This has been going on for centuries, and it's basically metaphysics and ontology. And what I mean by that, it's basically made up abstractions, made up scenarios, and things that our economy and our economic system, our financial system, our government system is all based on. And I want to say a word about laws for a second. And I understand I appreciate and understand everything that you've done, Thomas. I really do. But I want you to consider this, and everybody to kind of consider this. What we're dealing with here is we're not dealing with laws here. Okay, we're dealing at the very essence of creation, which is the very hub of all these things that everything emanates from. So when we try to defend these things in the court and we bring case law into this thing, all we're really doing is we're inviting response from the other side, are we not? And so what do you have here? You end up having a pissing contest, in my opinion. You cite this code section, somebody else cites another code section, and they come back and cite this code section. So you argue back and forth in a pissing contest to something that you're never going to win, because the patents have fixed these things. Understand this is, and I hope we understand from last week's class and that MERS Nations Bank agreement. Hopefully, you all had a time to read that. It clearly shows that what we've done here, or what they've done, is they have taken possession and ownership of our name, our all capitalized name, and our signature, basically, albeit our identity. And this is, of course, the derivative. This is, I'll use my name as a for instance. This is the Kenneth W. Dost. Well, that's my public personality. Okay. What they did is they stole all rights, title, and interest to my public personality, and they took it in because of concealed and imposed pledge agreement. They stole my name and my signature into the private side of patents and trademarks. Now, these are the patents and trademarks. Patents, it runs everything. These are automated processes that run the entire system, that run the government system, the court system, the financial system, the economic system, the insurance system, the credit system, the law enforcement system. Everything that you could possibly imagine is run by automated processes these days. And of course, all these automated processes are patented. Now, what you need to understand is that when if we're the grantors in every one of these, well, the assigners actually in all of these patents by impersonation, by impersonators, and these are the attorneys. So what they've done here is they have gotten us by imposed terms and conditions, namely through that Merged Nations Bank agreement, if we're talking about a mortgage loan, to give them all rights, title, and interest to our name and our signature. So they have control over us. There's no reason. I mean, there's no argument. There really can be no argument to the fact that, wait a minute, if somebody has control over me, then is that not impeding with my freedoms and liberties? Absolutely it is. And they've done so not by the birth name, but they've done so by the name that we operate in every single day of our lives. And that's our public personality. So they've impeded upon that. When we talk about these patented processes, they run the system through these patented processes, through the government system. I see that Mary Louise is on. Her and I, hi, Mary Louise. We had a conversation a couple of days ago, and it was about CPS. And she had asked me a very poignant question about, well, can these things help out with CPS? What we're talking about here? Absolutely, they can. Because what you have here is you have government employees that have been put into the chain of title, if you will, and made part of the conspiracy, and that's what this really is, by giving them pension bumps or an award system or a quota system that they're all operating towards. So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, and we talk about racism, we talk about all these things. It's all encompassed within these patents and trademarks. I mean, granted, racism goes back hundreds of years, but what I'm saying here is that they've managed to put all these things and wrap it all up in these automated processes, so that the government and law enforcement has been turned against all of us, whether black, white, brown, yellow, whatever race, whatever color, whatever religion. They've used these processes to turn government and law enforcement against us, and it's proof of this is positive. Proof positive of this is on the mortgage loan. That proves that if these are proven to be, and I think you see this now, especially when you read these patents, you'll see that these are not mortgage loans. It's prima facie upon the embodiment of patents and trademarks. That's your proof. Well, if these things are proven to be false, proven to be true. If these are true, which they are, that says, well, wait a minute, what's going on with the system then? Because the system has said that these are mortgage loans, and they're prosecuting these things as mortgage loans, and they're throwing us out of our homes as if they're mortgage loans, and they've turned a sheriff's department against people that come into their homes and evict them at gunpoint. So what do you have there? There can be no basis, there can be no justice if there's no basis of foundation, no foundation that is a basis of truth. There's no truth here. And that's what we're lacking here. There's absolutely no basis, no foundation of truth whatsoever in anything. So if that's the case, then how can there be any kind of justice? Well, there can't be, And so when we talk about citing case law and laws, it really is. I understand that yes, absolutely, it should be necessary, and it should matter, but it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't matter until we show what they've done to undermine the entire system, what they've done to undermine freedoms and liberties. And that's all through these patents and trademarks. Now, what I want to do today is I gave Bridget several links. The way that it's very difficult to teach these things, obviously, because we're talking about things that are very unfamiliar to us.
Are these the ones that you sent me yesterday? Are these the ones you sent me yesterday?
No, these are the ones I sent you today. I think there's 4 links I sent you. And I said that we'll talk about these links during class.
I had 3. Those
Facebook. Okay. Those are 3. I thought there were 4, but
yeah, there were 3.
I thought there were 4. It's one I Facebooked you this morning.
One you Facebooked me this morning. Okay, hold on one second. Hold on one second, please.
Okay, Taskmaster.
Well, I gotta go find them, so keep talking.
So what I thought I'd do today is because
okay, so
like I
you're
said, these
not.
are difficult.
You don't just.
I want to walk.
Just a question. You don't want the 3 that we just looked at, right? That we had. The patents.
Those are.
Okay.
No, I don't want to walk through each one of those. I want people to read through them.
Let me go look for the Facebook one. Okay. Oh, you sent me 2. You sent me 2 Facebook ones. I think from yesterday, right? They were documents.
No, no, from today. I sent them to you. Go to your Facebook Messenger. I sent them to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent them to you. Yeah, there's 4 links there. And if you don't see them, then I'll post them in the chat. And what I want to do here today is I want to kind of give you a class on. And you could pull up the same links as well. And as a matter of fact, I want you to pull up these links. These are the links that tie us right into patents and trademarks. And we're going to walk through a couple exercises here so that you can play around with these on your own, so that you can kind of the best way to learn obviously is to do, right? And so when we talk about all these chains of titles, we talk about these patents and these trademarks, and it is difficult to understand these things. But I think that if I can walk you through a couple links and put some and show you how to operate these links so that you can play with them on your own. You'll start, and if you do that, put the time to it, you'll start to have all kinds of aha moments for yourself. You'll learn for yourself what we're talking about here, because you'll see how these chains of title line up, and you'll see that all the things that you're fighting now in court, if you are fighting in court right now. Yes.
I'm posting one of the links that I found. So
yes,
this
ma'am.
one.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see that one?
Okay, I'll just open it up on yours. Okay, that's not the one I want though. That's not right now. We'll come back. That's the last one I want to talk about. All right,
well, just hold on a second.
Sorry, it was the first. Open up the first one I sent you. God, I'm a test man. I'm terrible, aren't I?
Well, the thing is he sends me links from all over, email, Facebook. So by the time
that's 2. Now, 2 places. I send you the links in Facebook, and I send you files and email.
Okay, well, tell me which one you want, because I've got a legacy
assignment. The first, yes, that's the one I want.
The legacy.
Open that one
okay.
Up.
All right, it's coming on board.
Yep, and post that link to chat so everybody else can open it up.
Okay, hold on one second, please. All right, let me give it a copy, and also let me give it a screen share. And all right, here's this. Wait, let me hold on. I'm going to post it.
And you're going to be a test drive dummy.
Okay, then I'm going to open it. Okay.
And you're going to be a test drive dummy here.
I am. Okay. All right. I'll be the test drive dummy.
Okay, what this is a trademark query that talks about assignments on the web. And these assignments that we're talking about are the various agreements that are recorded underneath patents and trademarks. These are the chains of titles. So what I'd like you to do, Bridget, see where it says the assigner and assignee name. If you could type in Mindbox for a minute. No. Type in Aquin. Type in Aquin.
How do you spell that?
At the assigner assignee name. You gotta go down a few more spaces.
Oh, assigner, assignee.
Assigner assignee name.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Nope. That down further where it says assigner/assignee name.
Okay, right here.
Right there. Type in Aquin, OCWEN. A lot of people deal with Aquin. So let's talk about Aquin.
Is that right?
EN.
Hold on.
EN.
Okay. Got it. That. Okay.
Okay, and type search.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Now, so these are all of the agreements that are underneath Aquin and Aquin Financial Corporation. You see at the top there it says 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's 4 different, links, I guess you could say, separate links to these. If you would, go ahead and open up, go to the, well, open up any one of those, open up any one you want there. Click any link you want there. It doesn't matter which one, just click any one, except that one. That one goes, well, no, you can click that one. That's their original one. That goes back in 1996, and that's when they first became. What this was where it used to be called Berkeley Federal Bank and Trust, where they signed everything over. They did a merger to become Ocwen Federal Bank. Go back. Click one of the Ocwen Financial Corporation ones.
Okay, so
you want anyone in the Ocwen Financial. Any one of those. Anyone in the Ocwen Financial Corporation. Doesn't matter which one. Pick one of them. Okay. Now, okay. So what we have here is we have it says an assigned to your entire interest. Now click the real and frame number, if you would, on the upper left.
The wheel and frame.
The real and frame. There's the link right there. Real and frame on the left-hand side. Upper left.
Upper left.
Right there. Click the link. Click
right
the
here?
link. No, real and frame. Click the link. No. Real and frame.
I don't see real and frame.
Where it says real and frame. It's on the left-hand side.
Left? I'm on the left.
Real.
Okay.
Yeah, real. No. Don't click that. No, none of that. Real and frame. It's right there. REEL. Right there. Click the link. It's the numbers are for. Yes,
oh,
right there.
I see. Okay. It's a number.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now these are, if you page down, but see these serial numbers, all these marks here. These are the actual trademarks for these particular products that Ocwen has. Okay, and you'll see real trans, real synergy, real servicing, so on and so forth. These are all the agreements that operate the contracts that they attach us to these so-called mortgage loans. Okay. Understand, these are not mortgage loans, people. What they're doing here is they're marketing us through different business transactions, different business strategies, so that they can traffic us and profit from us. These are not, pardon my French, these are not fucking mortgage loan servicers. They are brokers. They are slime buckets, really, who are exploiting our name and our signature through various marketing strategies through these products. This has nothing to do with a mortgage loan whatsoever, except what they tell you in the court system and in public. It has nothing to do with a mortgage loan. It has to do with exploiting our name and our signature for profit. Okay. Now page, go back up to the top there, and you'll see something that says assignments. Okay. See what it says? View recorded assignment. If you would click that, please. Now, this is the actual agreement. These are the chains of titles, folks. These are the agreements where we have been captured into. Okay, this is the agreements that we do not see at the closing table. Okay, these are the hidden agreements here. Now, go ahead, keep paging down. Page down with the text to where it gets into the body of the text, if you would, please. Okay, up a little bit more, or down a little bit more. Right there, stop. Okay, so this is what they're saying here. This is what we need to become aware of, okay? Now, what's saying here, Ocwen Financial Corporation, a Florida corporation having a business, blah, 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 so on and so forth, here and after a signer, is the owner of all right, title, and interest in, under, and to the trademarks. Who is the real assigner, though? It's not Ocwen. You are the actual assigner. You are the owner of all rights, title, and interest. Why? Because this all goes back to the original Fannie and Freddie document that you signed, and that hidden Merged Nations Bank agreement that gives all that where we gave all rights to them. But we are the owner of these things. We're the owner of all rights, title, and interest. But for the fact that, but for the presumption, I'm sorry, but for the unauthorized presumption, but for the fraudulent unauthorized presumption that and concealed presumption and imposed presumption that we gave them all rights, title, and interest. So what they're saying here is they're saying that you as the assigner, with the imposter Ocwen Financial Corporation taking ownership, is saying that they are assigning everything to Altisource SARL, a company out of Luxembourg, which, by the way, is what they refer to as a society anonyme, which means it's an anonymous society. So what they're doing is they're giving all your rights, title, and interest and assigning it over to a foreign country. And a company in a foreign country. Now, Multi-Source Solutions, both these companies are scumbuckets. They should be running out of town. They should be hung for treason. And I hope to God one day they are running out of town. I hope to God that we can bring these people down because Multi-Source and Aquin are one and the same company. Okay, so if you page down a little bit further, what it's saying is, now therefore for the sum of $5, another good and valuable consideration, blah, 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 so on and so forth. The said assigner does hereby assign unto said assignee all right, title, and interest in, under, and to said trademarks. All those word marks that we saw there with the serial numbers, together with the goodwill of the business symbolized by the trademarks, the right to bring suit and recover damages, past infringement, and the registration and applications thereof. What they're talking about there is the reason why they're able to sue you and bringing it into court is because they're impersonating us. So they're coming in and they're suing us because the way they see it is that we are not owners of anything. We are occupants of the land we're on. We're not owners, we're occupants. Okay, and it really makes me mad because these are people that I fought and finally got them off my back because of my assignments to trademark. They always referred to as an occupant. And it's like, wait a second, you say my name. If you're going to call my freaking house, you say what my name is. They won't do that. They'll call you an occupant. Why is that? It's because they've got that separation that's between us, between our signature and our all caps name, right? And they're controlling both aspects of those things. And so what they're doing here is they're saying that they get to bring that as the assigner, they get to bring all suit against us. Now, if you recall from last week's class, we talked about Neil Diamond. We talked about a couple of other trademark agreements. If you go back and you open up those agreements, you're going to find the language is pretty damn similar. It's almost the same language, actually. And really what you're going to find here is when you look at all these trademark assignments, they're all going to pretty much reflect the same language. It's basically going to have an assigner or a grantor who is the owner of all rights, title, and interest and signs everything to the assignee. Now understand what's going on here. Understand that you are the assigner of these things because there is no mortgage loan. There is no loan of any sort. We gave them all rights, title, and interest to our identity to do whatever they want to, whether it is within a mortgage loan, whether it is insurance, whether it is in whatever it is, anything that they can conjure up within patents. And that's the important thing to note here. And that's what's really difficult, I guess, to try to get a grasp on. That's why I want to go through this exercise so that you can see for yourself as you go through these. Okay, if you can go back to the previous link. I don't think you can back out of that. I think you just go back to the previous link. Yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead and back out of that, if you would, please. Now, go ahead and click. Go ahead. Keep on backing up. Go ahead, keep backing up. Go back to where we first brought the page. Next, one more time. Okay, go back down to the assigner or assignee name. Somebody else yell out a name or something to put in there. Who else is? So let somebody else put out something. Who? Give a name.
How about a Ditech?
Okay, put in Ditech. Perfect. Go ahead, search. Okay, here's all the ones for Ditech. There's a lot more for Ditech than there are for Aquin. Okay, now this is where you're gonna start really getting into your things. Now, see, you've got Ditech Communications Corporation, Ditech Corporation, Ditech Communication Corporation, Ditech Financial. What you're gonna find out is every one of these is the same one. They're all the same company. They're just renamed in different configurations. Click number 6, if you would, on the, see at the top where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and click 6. Okay, so there's Ditech Mortgage Corporation. If you look on the right-hand side there, it says Ditech Holding Corporation. Go ahead and click one of the Ditech Mortgage. Click any one you want. Doesn't matter. Either one. Okay, so here's what you got. This is from 2019. This is a release of security interest in Ditech, or I'm sorry, trademark rights. Look who we have as the assigner here. Credit Suisse, Cayman Islands. What do you know about that? And the assignees are Ditech Holding Corporation, which is important to know here. Liz, you probably didn't know this. FKA, Walter Investment Management Corporation. So there's another cog in the wheel there. But what you have here is you've got 3 different companies here, which of course are all the same company, really, by attachment. So if you had a mortgage with Ditech Mortgage Corporation, what you've got here is these are 3 different entities here that are attached to that. So when you're chasing chains of title, You can't find them anywhere, can you? You can't find them in the land records, can you? Because they're not in the land records. They're all in patents and trademarks. This is where you have to come to find out what these chains of title are. Now, go ahead and page down a little bit if you would on that. Or click the reel and frame. Let's see what, and let's look at the trademarks that are in there. Go ahead and click the reel and frame. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so what do we have here? We got a trademark called H. We've got Hanover Capital. Okay, that's very important. Hanover Capital has been around for quite a number of years. So what have we learned by this? We've learned that by this exercise, Liz, what have you learned? You've learned that Dytech, that Hanover Capital is a part of Dytech that you didn't know before, did you? You would have never found this in land records or anything, would you have? You wouldn't have.
No,
so this is
no, and actually, Green Tree was part of Walter Investments too.
Yes, and if you look down there, look down to number 9 and 10. What do we have? We have Green Tree.
Oh, okay. There they are.
There they are, right there. Yes. So see what I'm trying to tell you guys is that you know, you're trying to find all these chains of titles, and I know you're ripping your heart out over these things because you can't find them anywhere. And of course, there's no, and if whenever you send anything into the court, or you submit something to court, or you submit a what do you call it? What's that inquiry? RESPA inquiry. You always get back, well, we don't have to answer anything. We got to ignore you. We don't have to give you any information. They don't have to give you any information, and they're right. They don't have to give you anything. They're completely within their lawful right not to, and legal right not to give you anything. Why? Because you're looking at this from a real property transaction. You're looking at this incorrectly. You're looking at this as the system, as the court, as well as the banks want you, and as the attorneys want you to look at these things as if it's a mortgage loan. You got to stop doing that. It is these trademark agreements. This is where all the action takes place. Okay, all assignment. Pardon me?
I was just wanting, you know, when I because we had Green Tree.
Yeah.
We got a card in the mail a few years back, and it said very cheerily, "We're changing our name. Same company, same great service, different name, and it's now Dytech."
Yeah, and so, they do that regularly. Now when they do that, we'll go through that exercise in a minute. But when they do that, when they change name, what they're doing is they're creating LLCs off of that. You'll see a lot of you'll see a lot of instances in here, and this is where the attorneys need to be held to account for what they're doing. You know, they'll do like a Dytech Mortgage Corporation, and then they'll do a merger with a Dytech Mortgage LLC. So they merge both together, and the surviving entity will be the LLC. But what are they doing there? What they're doing there is they're weeding out and splitting out the equity from the corporation. So the corporation just has the debt on its books, right? And the LLC is holding all the equity. And this is the scheme that they run through constantly on these things. So these are the business processes, ladies and gents, that they're conducting against us that we have no idea that are being done against us. These are all trading transactions. What they converted us to is they converted us to electronic tradable business. I'm sorry, back up. Electronic/digital tradable business objects. And they broke us up in all these different pieces, parts, and we're being sold all over the place, and we're being distributed through these trademarks of these various companies. Okay, back out of that. Go back to go back one more. Go back one more. Go ahead and click number 3.
Oh, you know, Ken, another thing that that happens too is that when they put your name on a deed, it says that you're a tenant.
Yes.
It doesn't say that you're an absolute owner. So that's one thing that if you're buying a house, that's your responsibility to check to make sure that that's correct before the rest of the transaction goes through. So
you're absolutely correct. None of us really paid attention to that, I don't think.
You know, and
that's what they've done.
Yeah, and let me mention something else too, is that the way they trap you into property taxes is that they put a notation on there that the property is subject to taxation and they put an APN number on there, and they put a street address. So basically, but all that's really required is the real property description, which is township 1, blah, 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 section 23, you know, whatever, right? And the thing that's happened that I've discovered in fighting for these land rights myself is that most of the lands in the United States were patented off after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, based on the fact that Spain's king gave away land, and then when Mexico won independence, that there was Mexican land grants, and in 1848, we gave, under the treaty, we gave all the people that had Spanish or Mexican land grants a couple of years to come forward and put their stuff in, and they would get the same rights that they had under Spain and Mexico. But the fact is that those went on for several years, and in around 1920, each of the counties within each of the states that had joined the Union said that, look, we're not making any money off of these people. We need to figure out a way to go and screw these people over. So what they did is they resurveyed the county and all the properties within it, and then they overlaid the land patents.
You bring up a very important, you mentioned a very important year, 1920, Woodrow Wilson. Yes, right. There's a patent on, there's a land patent on that. That's when they changed up everything. Yes.
Right. And to continue on, what they did is they changed everything. They overlaid the county maps with tract, lot, and section, and put an APN number, and they started taxing people. And they did not make a note. The sales of the property that happened after that did not make note that these certain properties were subject to a land patent, and there is no reservations for any taxation, zoning, and regulation. So anyway, there's my 2 cents.
Okay, we're going to deviate here a little bit. We're going to deviate from, let's go on to his point for what he talks about for a minute, because this is a very important point. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on land patents. There is and I got it right in front of me right here, and unfortunately, I don't know where I can, with my low bandwidth, I probably won't be able to share. And it's not on the computer's paper, but I've got a patent assignment here, and I'll post this afterwards. So I'll post it to class, so all of you can pull this up for yourselves. But it is a patent. A conveying party is Woodrow Wilson, and I want to stress that Woodrow is spelled upper lowercase, and Wilson is spelled all uppercase. That's a very interesting point to note. This was June 16th of 1920, and it was with the General Land Office at Pueblo, Colorado, and the receiving party is an Ezequiel Martinez. And I'll give you the address. You can Google the address if you want. It's 404 Pecan Drive. And the internal address is sole owner, spelled S-O-U-L, owner, okay, DeSoto, Texas. And it's only a 3-page patent. It's really just a patent assignment, actually. But what it says is it has the actual land patent here. But what they did, they added certain other sections to this that you will not find in the land patents prior to that, under Grant and under Lincoln. Okay, this is when they changed everything up. And what it says here, I'm going to try reading it because it's real small print, and I got bad eyes, I can't even read it. But it says here, it gives the land description, of course, and it gives the meets and bounds of it. You know, the southeast quarter and section, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But it's a small print that's important. And in this small print, it says, now know ye that, I'm going to try reading this. Now know ye that there is therefore granted by the United States unto the said claimant the tract of land above described to happen to hold the said tract of land with the appurtenances thereof unto said claimant, and to the heirs and assigns of the said claimant, oh geez, I can't read that. Forever, subject to any vested. Here's where it comes in now. To any vested and accrued water rights for mining, agriculture, manufacturing, or other purposes, and rights to ditches and reservoirs, and used in connection with such water rights as may be recognized and acknowledged by the local local customs laws. And decisions of courts, and there is reserved from the lands hereby granted a right of way thereon for ditches or canals constructed by the authority of the United States. Now, you won't find that same language. I don't believe you do. From what I looked at in my land patents, because mine was under a grant, you will not find that same language. What they did here was they added some extra things in here, like agricultural mining. And manufacturing is the important one. Manufacturing is very important because that's what our name is. Our name is converted to articles of manufacturing. Because we fund everything, we are put into manufacturing and constantly remanufactured. And with the new laws beginning around 1998, with the laws that we went through in the past couple of weeks, State Street, and of course the revisions to UCC 9, they've been able to take our name, they've been able to fractionalize it and spread us all throughout the world. But we're funding everything that takes place in this world. We're funding. So if, for instance, we are in manufacturing, we are manufacturing car parts, and because why? Because we're the actual stock owners. We're the ones that are providing the actual collateral and the value and the credit to these things. And they convert us to special purpose vehicle. And so this is a little bit different than the birth certificate. The birth certificate is, we're a vessel, but now with the derivative, we become a special purpose vehicle. But this all ties in with these land patents, with the language of the land patents. Now in particular to this particular land patent, this was not just an assignment of the land itself. There was another document that goes with this. And that is an actual patent that Ezekiel Martinez submitted. And that patent, I don't have that one handy with me, but it was for a manufacturing process of some sort. And so that manufacturing process that he came up with and he patented laid on top of this land patent and gave him total rights, absolute rights, title, and interest. So that's what's important to note here. I'm hoping that makes sense. And I think it'll make sense as we go.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like, I came into common law heavily in 2009 because I'm medicine, right? In medicine, I'm in alternative medicine. And so the other thing too, like I know that a lot of this, that people are looking at the copyright, patent, and trademarks because of they're losing something, or maybe their house, or how they're starting to learn that they're connected up. But the most sinister area that they are using to do this stuff is in medicine. The documents that you sign when you enter the hospital, they can do whatever they want with you or to you. And then when you die, they're actually cutting up human bodies, and then they copyright and trademark, the leg so that they can transport it and send it, over here. So
understand what they're doing though. A lot of this stuff
and
is
so they're making a big move. This is why it's so important for people to actually do this stuff, is because they're making a move to own your biology. And this is what a lot of this COVID testing was to get you in there so that they could swab your mouth so that they could get a DNA profile of you.
Okay, that's okay. Not on that note. Now, okay, let's back out of this link. Now, open up there's this. I think it's the second link I sent you. Open up that one. Okay. I believe it's the second one, because now let's expand upon what you're talking about here.
Okay, so this one is a assignment.
Yes, that one. Open up that one, please. Okay, this is another way for you guys to research your change of title, and actually, this is really a better way to do it. Okay, this is a more complete way. Go ahead and click Advanced Search on the right. I'm sorry, on the right-hand side. One more over there. Click that. Now, you recall last week we didn't talk about this in this class. I posted it to my Facebook page, and I'll post it to here afterwards. I posted up the 1907 Articles of Incorporation for the Corporate Trust Company of America. And thankfully, the copy that I had, the only copy I found, was barely readable. So thank you to Liz Combs for retyping that as best as she could. There's just a couple of sections in there that we weren't able to interpret, or she wasn't able to interpret, but it's a clean copy of that. And I'll go ahead and post that after the class here. But that's a very important document because that document's from 1907. And what it says, it says that you and I, as the principals, owners of these things, have given over all the duties of the financial aspects and the investing aspects of this to a pseudo principal, being under Delaware law, and that underneath that they can go ahead and create stocks, bonds, do all these things, And I'll let you read that agreement when I post it up. So all that's based on these things here that we gave over our principal ownership to another principal owner to do these things. So so in today's modern terms, let's call that person an account manager or a hedge fund manager, okay? And what they did by getting us to sign these mortgage loans with this hidden agreement into it that we never knew about, that Merged Nations Bank agreement, they added a nominated agent in. Well, that nominated agent is an attorney. Okay, so we handed everything over to an attorney, and those attorneys, of course, are in collusion with the banks. Now, Corporate Trust Company of America is is today known as CT Corporation. Now, a lot of you will probably know that if you're dealing with lawsuits and you're serving responses, you're serving these responses through CT Corporation, the agent, are you not? Well, that's Corporate Trust Company of America. Now, within the first paragraph of that document, it refers to the servicing agent for Corporate Trust Company of America. And by the way, that 1907 Articles of Incorporation, the main purpose of those articles was to merge and to weed out of America. So it went from Corporate Trust Company of America to Corporate Trust Company. So they merged out the name, or they weeded out the name of America, which I think is very interesting. But within the first paragraph of that, it refers to Delaware Trust Company as being the servicing agent. So Bridget, if you would please, at the assignee name, would you type in Delaware Trust Company, please?
Yeah, Ken, I searched my birth certificate registration number, and
Yes.
I went on to, what do you call it? Who's the big guys that, well, anyway, they do a lot of stocks and bonds, and said that my stuff was registered under pharmaceuticals.
Yes. Okay, that's what I'm getting. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to show. I'm going to show you with this. Click search then. I'm going to show you with this. Not so much pharmaceuticals. Yes, actually, yes, it will be pharmaceuticals, and it will be through. It might be through Delaware Trust Company. Let's go. Page down. It says 26 results. Okay, stop there. Stop. See where it says reel and frame on the left-hand side, and you see that little caret, that double caret that's pointing to the right. No, not that. Up. Go up. Go up. Okay, go to the left. Oh, right to the left of reel and frame in that great area. Go over to the right. Go over a little bit more. A little bit. No, to the right. Right, not left. Okay, go on back left.
It's right under reel frame, right there, right next to it.
Yeah, but I don't want the reel and frame. I want that little double caret that's pointing to the right. That's above that. Go above.
Yeah.
Go above and to the left. Above and to the left. Okay, go to the left now. Right there. Click that. I can expand it all. Okay, so this is so here, now look down through here. Now, page down through it and tell you what the assigners and assignees are. And I'll tell you what the patents are. Now, go to the second one. What does it say? Drive Medical Canada. And it's a bath mat. Okay, now a bath mat seems pretty innocuous, but it's really not. But we won't go through that one right now. Keep paging down. Okay, see where it says the Blue Net Holdings? You know who Blue Net Holdings is? That's George Soros right there. That's George Soros' company right there. That's his company right there. And it's energy distribution and marketing back office system and method. What this is, we won't click into that because we're talking about medical here, but what this goes into, what they're talking about energy distribution and marketing, they're talking about automated processes. And they're talking about all these software programs that are dealing with information. And understand what we're dealing with here. At the end of the day, all we're really dealing with is workflow and information management that is being pooled and collected in various databases, right? Which are creating different businesses and so on. So that's all we're talking about here is the management of information. Okay, now you go down and see the next one, Presidio. It's a hybrid cloud information management system. Hybrid meaning that it's what's hybrid? Keep paging down. I believe there's medical ones in here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm almost positive there is, if I'm not mistaken. So keep paging down. Fuel price protection, interesting because we're all oil and gas. By the way, all real estate, if you didn't know this, all real estate is automatically a lease, and all leases are oil and gas leases and investments. So whether you knew it or not, we're all investors in oil and gas industry. And see, and we have rights to all this stuff, obviously, we do. Okay, keep page down. Keep page down. Now you see a developers healthcare. Okay. Oh, where'd it go? I lost it. Yeah, developers healthcare there. That was that goes into healthcare. Keep paging down. You got submersible bathing. Okay, so you got submerging bathing and transfer. So that's Columbia Medical. So see, you can see where the medical comes in here. So you see there's a lot of medical, there's a lot of electric, and there's a lot of information in here. So these are the things we're dealing with. So what are we? We're the energy that supplies everything, are we not? Would anybody disagree with that? That we're the energy that supplies everything. Is that agreed?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so
yes,
Ken,
no?
how would you go and collect on that though?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to
Okay.
that. First, you got to learn. First, I want you to learn all this stuff so you understand, so you can stand on your own and you can support it. Go down a little bit more. You'll see. There you go. Applied DNA Sciences Inc. Right there. Page down. Right there. Page down more though. There you go. Applied DNA Sciences Inc. Go ahead and click that one. Go ahead and click. See what it says patent number on the right hand side. Go ahead and click that patent number, 8163 number to the right. Keep going to the right. It says patent number. See what's it says assigned properties 1 of 2 and then patent number. Go up. Take your finger up. Right there.
That's
there
it.
You go. Right there. Click that. That's it right there. Now, you're going to see these things. These things have nothing to do with anything you might think they have anything to do with. Until you start reading the patent, you start reading what's in reading in between language and what they're talking about here. And you always got to keep in mind that we're the energy that drives these things. Without us, there would be no stocks, there'd be no bonds, there'd be no manufacturing, there'd be nothing if it were not for you and I. That they're using our energy, the value of our name. Okay, so what do you have here? You've got stop there for a minute. Okay, the patent for this is method for a continuous rapid thermal cycle system. What the hell is that? Click if you go up to the up on the right hand side, you'll see 2 boxes there. One, you've got a APPFT, which is a publication. Don't click that one though. And then you have the PAFT, which has already been published. Go ahead and click the PATFT, if you would please.
I think that continuous thermal has to do with nuclear.
Well, yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. Now, we talked about I think we talked about last week. I'm sure we did. We talked about 2 sides of a substrate last week. And that's what we are. The way that all these patents operate, the way this whole system operates, and this is a hard thing to understand, and I get that. It is hard to understand it. And that's why we're doing this exercise so that you can kind of go through and play yourself and kind of get used to the terms and the language. We can talk about language, okay? We talk about legalese, okay? There's no legalese in here. This is all this plain language stuff that is worded in an abstract scenario system that we're a part of, okay? And so this is, when you talk about nuclear, what they've done here, if you accept the fact that we are the energy that is behind everything, and you can accept the fact that our all capitalized name has been separated from our upper lowercase name, and it has been, and this is obvious by when they bring us into court. They're bringing us into court. Why? Because there's that intermediary that's between the names that's controlling things. Okay, and that's the problem. Now, if we say that we have common law rights, title, and interest, that's to say that we have undivided interest. That's to say that there is no intermediary between us. Well, of course, that's a lie, because through patents and trademarks, there's been input a hidden intermediary that we didn't know about. And so that's what we're dealing with here. So what we're doing here in patents and trademarks, all we're doing is we're saying, listen, we want to correct for the mistaken or the false presumption, the indisputable. We want to correct for the false presumption that I gave all rights, title, and interest by pledge to my name. And we want you to, the Commissioner of Patents and Trademarks, to make this correction. That's all we're really doing here. What does that mean? That means that we're taking 2 substrates, two halves of the substrate. One half is going to be your upper lowercase name, which is your natural person, which is a body of living matter. That's all it is. Body of living matter, absent its soul, absent its form, which is that absent its energy, which is that all capitalized name that has been separated within patents and trademarks. And we want to remove those intermediaries. So what do we do? We're pulling those two substrates together. We're fastening them together, and that energy is nuclear. Now we're nuclear. Does that make sense? And that's when our energy comes together, because that's where our power is. That's what they've separated. Does that make sense? It sounds very abstract, but this is the way that things operate, folks. This is the reality of the system and the reality of the way the world operates. This is it right here. It's all abstract. It's not fiction, because if it's fiction, it wouldn't be affecting your lives, right? This affects our lives. So what they're doing here, and all these things that they are doing, some of these patents are I'll say some of these patents are absolute bullshit. Some of these patents just are written to read, to spew gibberish. And you get into that when you get into the banking patents with HSBC and Bank of America and so on and so forth. But with these patents here, DNA, I mean, this is what they're doing. This tells what they're doing. And it's talking about chain reactions and first reactions and so on and so forth. Now, page down, if you would, a little bit on that, please. Bridget, page down. Keep it going, a little bit more. Okay, stop. Okay, see where it says reference by? Go ahead and click that for a minute, if you would. Oh, wait, see, it says, look on the left-hand side. What's that? It says fabrication. Oh, I lost it. You lost it. Page down, or up. I'm sorry, up. A little bit up. Up. Come on, push it up. Okay, stop. Okay, see where it says reference by? Click that link, if you would, please. Now, what that's going to do is sometimes they'll bring up, there'll be nothing else attached to it. Other times it's will be attached with all kinds of other patents that this thing is referenced by. Okay, there we go. So we got 8 patents referenced by it. So what are we talking about here? So we're talking about the cell-free synthesis of DNA by strand displacement. Okay, so what is this? So what do you think they're doing here, guys? What do you think they're doing? What do you think we fit in with this stuff?
Changing DNA.
Talk about DNA to try. Bridget, you talk about it. What? Go ahead. Go ahead. What are you saying?
Oh well, they're just trying to resequence people's genes and morph them.
Yes. Yes. They're trying to control it. They're trying to control. They're trying to subjugate us. And it's all being done by these patented processes, by these things and these agreements and things that we're a part of that we never knew that we're a part of.
Right. They're trying to turn off certain genes and turn on other ones. Right. So yeah. Huh.
Now, okay. Now it's interesting you said that. You said it's you said a important phrase there: turn on and turn off. What they're doing now, there's other patents here.
Ken,
you're
warbling out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's why we try to mute our microphones and cut our video to help with his sound. It helps a little bit if there's a lot of.
So I don't get cut off.
Yeah, okay. Otherwise he gets kicked out. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't want to be kicked out.
Yeah.
The hell of time you get back on.
To change the DNA of us, we will be a creation of them, and they can patent us. So we will no longer be God's creation.
Yes. Okay, now stop there. There's 2 points there. 2 points. The one point is, yes, you're right. You're absolutely correct. On your point, on Altisource, go back to Aquin for a minute. Let's talk about Aquin. There is a couple of agreements within Aquin, recent agreements, okay? And you'll find these, with these links that I've showed you, you'll find these agreements, okay? But 2 very important agreements, one in patents, one in trademarks, and it talks about the merging together of I think it's Altisource SARL and Altisource SRL, okay? So what these are is these are the 2 halves of our substrate that we're talking about, that they've separated from us. What have they done? They've transported us and they moved us off of our land, and they moved and made us an occupant, right? And they moved us over to Luxembourg, which is an anonymous society. Okay, and that's where they're putting that. That's where they're merging those 2 halves of the substrate back together again, so that they can get that nuclear energy, so they can get that DNA. So they're replicating us, yes, and so that these attorneys and these people that are impersonating us and have stolen our identities can go ahead and take our state and everything that we possibly own or ever will own and steal that over to and putting us back together in Luxembourg. And this should inflame every single one of us. Because so that's what you're right. That's what they're doing. They're replicators. On the other point that the other gentleman said, he said a key word. I forgot what it is right now. What was it? Oh shoot! I lost my point.
Turning genes on and off.
Oh, yes, on and off. As far with fractionalization. What they're doing is there's a couple of patents out there, and I'll post these I'll post this after class. There's a couple of patents that specifically talk about how they're fractionalizing our land into mobile air rights, water rights, mineral rights, all these different deeds, complementary deeds, so on and so forth. But what they're doing, how they're doing this, is they're manipulating the electrical signals. They're turning on and off electrical signals to be able to make these changes. So what are they doing here? So you can almost compare it to DNA in some respects, can't you? Because it's all different. DNA is all part of our structure, our individual structure. Well, it's the same thing with the electrical signals, is it not? It's the same damn thing. So what they do is manipulate the electrical signals so they could fractionalize and slice off pieces of us. So this all has to do with energy, doesn't it? Everything has to do with energy.
Well, yeah, and the last thing I want to just kind of add about all that is that they're getting to the point where they are moving us into different territory, which will give them, fully claim over our whole body, and they'll be able to just kill you at will, or whole cities. They could poison for experimental reasons the water. So the other thing too is like it's it doesn't, I mean, I know that ultimately it's, the property and retaining that, and also, maybe the claimant, the money as the original depositor, getting yourself in that position. But right now we got to get a fire lit under our butt, because the more, of the DNA that they collect in large places will give them, in their idea, right to, through copy, patent, and trade marks, to be able to just wipe out, turn our services off, turn our services on, turn our bodies on, turn our bodies off. So yeah, it could, and food.
So do you understand though that this, when I said earlier about forget about the case law, really case law doesn't really have any pertinence here. It does, but once we bring it to the surface, there'll be lawsuits for next 20 years that we'll have actual rights of action on. But until we get to that point, until we expose the fact that the court system is totally corrupted, until we expose the fact that our government systems are completely corrupted, and expose that our financial and economic systems are completely corrupted, case law doesn't do us any good, does it? Because it's all corrupted. Well, where's the point of corruption? It's right here in patents and trademarks. And this is where we need to come together, and we need to make these changes. Pardon?
I have a question.
Pardon me? Who said something?
Liz. Yes. I have a question. Yes. You were talking about.
That's my buddy Liz.
What?
Sorry, go ahead, Liz.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I said, where's Liz? I was introducing you. I said, we're good buddies.
We're making fun of you. No, it's okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry.
It has to do with your, you had made a comment relative to the way they fractionalize us and splitting off, water rights and mineral rights and all those other kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Now, what does getting the meets and bounds description recorded have to do with that?
Good question. And the answer to that is geo-names and geotyping. And as a matter of fact, George Soros is involved in this, in geotyping. When we talk about geotype stuff, we're talking about McDonald Detweiler. I'll give you an example. If you could if you can go back to the assignment page that we started with on this section, I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about satellite systems, and we're talking about spy surveillance. We're talking about the geo tracking from satellite systems and geo names. As a matter of fact, because of all the work that I've done, I kind of piss these guys off a little bit. I've got a couple trademarks out there that I didn't do, but other people have done. One of them is called Dost. And it's kind of a nix against me because of what I'm trying to do to override these guys. And there's another one that's called a Dost add-on. And so because of what I'm doing here, they're trying to do a one-up on me in trademarks, and it doesn't work because I just shut them down on it. I just say I reject it. But all of these all these satellite systems, if you go into BLM, into their website, you'll find that there's all different types of satellite systems in there for mineral, for tracking mineral and water and all these things. That's where they're actually, that's where they're actually keeping all of our titles, is within these systems. And so when we talk about meets and bounds, we're talking about the actual hands in the dirt, right? And to show that we have that this is our hands in the dirt. This is not from space. This is not from anywhere but on the hands in the dirt. So that's why we want to claim the meets and bounds, because that puts our official, our signature on it, that hey, our feet are on the ground. But all of the tracking system, the trading systems, all these things are operating through these geo-satellite systems. Does that answer your question, Liz? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So in other words, once we record that, they're kind of dead in the water.
Right, they're dead. Yes, they're dead in the water. But recording with the county though doesn't really do any good. Anything that we do with the county, and I think you all.
No. What I'm saying is, when we do our federal filings, such as in.
Oh yeah, they're dead in the water. Oh, they're dead in the water at that point.
And I think what.
Let me just get my thought out so that I know that I'm on the right track.
A point of clarification, guys, is that the meets and bounds description is the legal description of your property. It's not 123 Main Street.
No, it's not. No, legal description and meets and bounds are two different things. It's two different things. The legal description is kind of a slice of the meets and bounds, but the meets and bounds is your actual orientations. Your southwest to southeast or Willamette Meridian, for example. That's your meets and bounds. Your legal description is it's just a landmark. They're parts of the same thing. I agree with you there, but the legal description is different than the meets and bounds. Meets and bounds goes a lot different. Meets and bounds, is your hands in the dirt.
It's a geographical. It's geographical pointing. Yeah.
Yes, there's a difference.
So when we do our UCC 1 and 3 filings, and also into the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and we include that meets and bounds description, then we basically taken it out of their control and jurisdiction.
Well, sure, because
is that correct?
Yes, because what we're doing, understand that the trademarks is the book of life. I call it the book of life, and it's because of this. It's because the government record has us as all caps named. And that's how we're in the record. And because there's intermediaries between us, whether it be the government or these hidden powers of attorney that separates us from our all caps name, we don't have an existence. It's not that we're dead. Okay, don't mix that up. It's not that we're dead. That all capitalized name is a non-human factor of production. Now that definition comes from Liz. You remember the name? What's his name? I always forget his name. This comes from the former CEO of Alta. Who? Kelso, yeah, Larry Kelso or something like that, Kelso, and he kind of coined the phrase factor of production, and he says in that quote, this was back from the 1960s, and he was the CEO of American Land Title Association, that all capitalized name is the energy. He describes it as the energy, and that because we're connected to that, and because it's ours, and even though it's not done by our own mind or body, it's still connected to us. Why? Because that all capitalized name would not exist at all if it was not for your first breath that gave it existence. Okay, so we have every right to that. So, but the trademark office doesn't see that. Why? Because there's intermediaries in between. There's these intermediaries from Bank of America or whomever, any patent, anything that's saying when they do these assignments. and those agreements that we went to one agreement from Altisource and from Aquin. When they in those agreements the person that's making the bank or whoever's making that assignment is instructing the Commissioner of Patents and Trademarks to make the necessary or to make the recordings as being instructed by that assignment. So in other words, when they say that we're the grantors and that we assigned all rights, title, and interest to the grantee, that's what we're correcting, because we didn't do that. But because of that, we don't have an existence within the system. So when we file within patents and trademarks, specifically in this case, we're talking about trademarks, we are put into what's called the Authorized Historical Database. Okay, and that Authorized Historical Database says that us as an individual, I'll use my name, Kenneth W. Dost, upper lowercase, has taken claim to that all caps name that's sitting out there in that collective membership known as Kenneth W. Dost. And when I take claim for that, what have I done? I've given myself an existence, right? I've identified with that particular piece of property, which is the all caps name, as mine, and that I'm taking that back. So what have I done by doing that? I give myself a physical existence, okay, because going back to body and soul, you got two components to that make up a substance. In this case, a physical existence of an individual personality, whether it be a man or a woman, must be the merged union that is indivisible between body and soul. And that is the upper lowercase name, which is the body of living matter, and the all caps name is the abstracted form of the soul in that form. That's what they're articulating, as Bridget said. When they talk about legs and all these things, that's what they're articulating, and they're manipulating the form of my all caps name however they want to, right? Because it's disconnected from my body of living matter. Does that make sense? So we want to put that back together. Once we put that back together again, that's where our power comes from. That's why it's so important.
Right.
Make this for patents and trademarks. That's where we win.
So this is the other thing too, is if I'm not mistaken, once you file the documents to say, hey, could you look over here and can you notice that this is what's going on, and I'm letting you know that there's like an issue, and I'm the actual original depositor of all of this creation that's been going on. I think that it also, isn't it, at some point it causes an automatic investigation, doesn't it, with the Department of Justice at some point? Because
with Treasury, it certainly does. It's within patent laws, patent and trademark laws, that when we're closing out the accounts, basically, or when when we're making a calling out a discrepancy for instance,
right, because these people, they're imposters, and they've been and they're money laundering, basically.
Yes. Now, see, here's the problem. Right now, as it stands right now, we're all disconnected from our from our names, right, and our identities. Why? Because we got intermediaries in between us, and I think I think you see that now. If you didn't see that before, and so the problem with getting DOJ or FBI or anybody investigate these things, and the reason why we're probably frustrated because they won't investigate them, is because we don't have any rights. We have no rights to these things. Because there's an intermediary.
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen is if
control.
If you have like you get like 1,000 people who are doing this, I bet you it's not going to take very long for the DOJ to step in.
I don't think it's going to take 1,000 people. I think one, Kenna, you may correct me on this, but I think one person triggers it. And it's going to be done in the private. So that's my understanding. Ken, what say you?
Well, I think that here's what I truly believe. I believe that by and large, 99% of the government has been rendered incompetent. I think that they've been lied to and deceived just as much as you and I have been as part of the public. And this is evident. This is clearly evident by these mortgage loans, which we can show, prove, and demonstrate unequivocally are not a mortgage loan of real property whatsoever. There's something else. But we can't communicate these things to the people in the county because we're seen as being deadbeats, liars, and cheats. So what you have is you have a government system that's operating now under automated processes, and they basically have a manual by which they're operating by, right? Which is the computer technologies that they're told to follow. So, you have that. And you also have the fact that there's this big lie in place because, hey, it's common sense, right? If you're not paying your mortgage, you should be thrown out of your house. And I fully agree with that, 1,000%, if it was 20 years ago. Okay, before what they did here by turning us into leases and stripping us of ownership. But this is a different time. But see, the problem here is that they didn't convey any of that to any of us. Okay, they didn't convey it to the government employees either. So we've all been lied to. So you've got this common sense, this scenario here that you should lose your home. But, you know, so how do you turn that around? That's the complication here. How do you turn that around? You've got to educate people like I'm trying to do with you guys here and saying, listen, this is where all this stuff originates from. This is what's really going on here. You know, but to sit there and go down to the county and try to explain to a person at the counter these things, they're going to look at you like, you know, they've been indoctrinated themselves into these things. So these are the problems that we face. But, you know, I think that when you do that, when you do these things, what you're doing is you're opening up a door. What we're doing is we're opening up a door and removing a lot of the impediments that has prevented Department of Justice or anybody from investigating these things. So yes, you are correct, Bridget. When we do these filings, it does stimulate a complete audit. And I'm not talking about these financial audits that people are having done now. I'm talking about a complete audit in Treasury. And what that's going to entail is, because what you're doing here is we're bringing ourselves back onto the land. Okay, we're bringing ourselves back from our foreign captors essentially, and we're deboarding our vessel. Okay, and as we're deboarding our vessel onto land, we're kind of striking a match and throwing it into the hull of that vessel, so that damn thing burns into the bay. Okay, so that we can get it, so we get salvage title and all these things and these things. So all these things play
in. And then we march in with our gun and take our Bridget bank back. Our individual bank back. And when we do that, when we notify them
we don't need a gun though. Okay.
We don't need a gun.
It automatically spurs an audit within Treasury. Now, the good thing about this thing is now this gives them an opportunity and forces them to get into and start auditing these patents. These patents have never been audited, guys. They never have been. The bad thing about the Patent and Trademarks Office is they don't really scrutinize these patents that are being recorded. They kind of just look them over to make sure that they have the basic elements for recordation. And as long as they meet those requirements, these things are recorded. So they don't scrutinize these things unless people bring action against them or call them out like we're doing, you know, by saying, hey, we're revoking this patent. Now all of a sudden, now it brings scrutiny to that patent. Okay, and that's what we really need to happen here, because this is where all the damages have been done for the past 20 years, and we've been enslaved in these patents, but nobody's been able to get into these things. Now what we're doing is we're opening up the door to say, hey, go, you know, well, we don't even have to instruct. It's done by patent law and trademark law to audit these things. I believe, is my belief, that once fiscal services and Treasury gets into these, and we're talking about ordinary people just like you and I, or just government employees, start getting into these things and start investigating things, they're going to be scratching their heads and their asses and thinking, holy shit, this is blatant. This is disgusting. This is a violation of constitutional rights. This is a violation of human rights. This is a violation of every possible right you can imagine. I think that they're going to be outraged. And of course, we're going to have to push the things. We're going to have to push these points ourselves. But here's the thing: there's nowhere for them to run, you guys. There's nowhere from this is the bottom. This is the very bottom basement floor. Okay, there's no defense here. The banks, the attorneys, they have no defense here. And here's the prima facie proof that this country has been taken over and has been conquered by the British Commonwealth is in patents and trademarks, because every single patent and trademark has an attorney attached to it. It has to have an attorney attached to it. And if you accept the fact, and this is common knowledge and the factual truth, that all these attorneys are foreign agents that have to the British Commonwealth and the bar. They have no loyalty to the Constitution, no loyalty to you or me or any of this stuff. They're sitting on what is it? Article 8, I think it is, of the Constitution for protection of patents. Well, wait a second here. Am I not the inventor of my own life? Are you not the inventor of your own life? If this is freedoms and liberties, and we have freedoms and liberties, that means that we do have. We have a right to pursue our dreams. We have the right to make mistakes and to suffer the consequences for those mistakes. Okay, that's freedoms and liberties to me. But who pays for the harms and damages that I have to suffer, that you have to suffer because of someone else's actions? okay, that all comes down right here in the hub of patents and trademarks. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Raise my hand. Can,
Yeah.
can I raise my hand?
Yeah.
What I was trying to say before was the reason I don't think it's going to require a lot, you know, thousands of people and everything like it as happens in a class action suit, although there may come a time if we're ignored. Everything that we do in this, which relates to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, is done electronically. And just like just like these impersonators do everything electronically, and everything rolls out electronically, there's no oversight and so on and so forth.
Yes.
For that reason, we should not have to come en masse to sort of be civil disobedient to do the work. Now, if
and also
they decide, what I'm trying to say is if after.
But to that point,
Let me finish.
But to that point, though, also, but no, you can't, because to that point also, though, you gotta stress the point, and this is very important. You know, this is not something that somebody can come in and do as a blanket for everybody, because we're dealing with each individual person has to do them. Individual personality has to do this themselves. You know, so when we talk about whether it's 1,000 people or whether it's 10,000 people, you know, it can't be a bulk of somebody's bringing in 10,000 people. It has to be 10,000 individual personalities doing this themselves. That's the only point I wanted to make, Liz.
Well, and I don't disagree with you. In fact, it goes to my point that we don't have to worry about doing such actions as a class action lawsuit or any of those things. Which anything in the courtroom is futile anyway. I think that once we file into once we've done those electronic filings, and presuming we've done them correctly, because they're electronic, it's all going to be, it just moves through the system without the additional interference of an attorney who's going to try and help us move our cause forward, as they always do.
Right. So what we're doing here, because it's electronic. Okay, now keep in mind that this system that we're operating on is an artificially intelligent, rules-based, case-based system. Okay, what does that mean? What that means is that they've built, when this system was built back in 1998, and between 1998 and 2001, 2002, what they did was it's all based on a platform of artificial intelligence that's rules-based. So what they did is they built in a bunch of rules that depict a person's personality. Okay, and so what you'd have is you'd have a scenario put in, input, and did I lose you or am I still on? Okay, I'm still on. What they did was they built a system so that they can predict our behavior. Okay, so they can predict whether Liz, if she misses a payment, if she misses a car payment this month, what's the chances that she's probably going to default on her house? You know, scenarios like that. Okay, but what they did though is they look at every person as being. They look at every person as being just like any other person. That there's no individuality there, and so that we're all like pending our based on these rules and these personality behaviors that they've built into their system. Well, the system's wrong to begin with. The whole system's screwed because first off, not a single one of us would ever knowingly and willingly give all rights, title, and interest to a banker or to an attorney with nothing in return, would we? None of us would do that. But this is how the system is based. So the system's totally screwed on this very alone. And so what they did then is the collapse of the economy was done intentionally because the system is not only based on artificial intelligence, but it's based on risk assessment. So everybody's assessed for the risk and whether they're going to pay this, whether they're going to not pay that. Well, what happened when the economic collapse happened? You had millions and millions of people who did the right things and have been very financially responsible, totally sucked into default by this economic collapse, right? And the reason for doing this was greed and power. Because what they're doing with these mortgage loans, remember, it's a lease agreement. So what they're doing is, you think it's a house payment, you have ownership in the house, but what they're doing behind the scenes is they're padding your estate. They're padding you with annuities and insurances and all these other businesses that are accumulating wealth and accumulating profits and accumulating stock. And they're doing all these things behind the scenes, right? But they can't touch any of those things until they stimulate a default. Once there's a default, it goes into federal receivership, and then you're open game for all these guys. So they can go after all these annuities and everything that they've been accruing on your estate, right? And this is so they got all this stuff accruing. So when the economic collapse happened, you had all these things collapse. So now it made all these annuities and all these insurances and everybody's estate open season for these guys to come right in and collect it. And how do they collect it? They pull your ass in the court. They say it's on a foreclosure, but they're not sharing with you that you're the investor, that you're the secured party creditor, that you're the actual owner. They've got to put that you're the debtor. You're the deadbeat debtor that defaulted. And so what they're doing after they get the foreclosure and after they get you evicted, they're running off the little feet to patents and trademarks as your authorized representative. And they're saying, I'm here as Liz Combs' authorized representative. And she's incompetent. She's a deadbeat. She's not going to do anything here. So I'm going to clear out her estate. Would you please clear it out for me? And that's exactly that's in a nutshell, that's exactly what's going on here.
You know what I think, Ken? I think
that's what we got to upset. And by doing.
Uh-oh, are you there?
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is that part of the
yeah, go ahead, Liz.
They profile us for the artificial intelligence software purposes, and I'm convinced of the idea that part of the profiling process has to do with how many of us took out loan modifications. That was like, if that wasn't a, hey, I'm ready to fall off the cliff. Yeah. And those of us who were stupid enough to fall for that loan modification profiled ourselves. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, going one step further, which really irks me about the courts is the people that never did miss a payment, that had people that would try to make a payment and the banks wouldn't accept that payment, and they wouldn't accept it for 3 months, and all of a sudden now they're facing default, and then boom, lickety split, they lost their home. Now that pisses me off with the court system because that is so there's no default here. This was a stimulated default. This was an intentionally instituted default that the courts just totally bypassed. That's right. There's how crooked the court systems are.
Yeah, there was a default.
I'm talking about the people that never default. I'm talking about.
Uh-oh, I think he got tossed off.
Well, I'm just saying that in my perspective, and then I'm going to shut up, is that there was a default, but it wasn't us. And with that, I yield.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Ken, but it looks like he got tossed off. And but we're at the end of the class anyway.
Oh, I hope he doesn't get mad at me.
I doubt he'll be mad at you. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close the class so that I can actually, download the record, and then that way I can get it out hopefully tomorrow. So anybody who wants to check it out can check it out. And then, obviously, if you guys have any questions, it's good to send them to Ken. And yeah, so that's what I've got. So there'll be a blog that'll have all the links on them now that I know where they're all at. And then also the video will come out. So we'll have all that up and going for tomorrow.
Look at me. How do I feel?
Pardon me?
Sir, what about now?
Constipated.
Okay, so
Horny. Ha 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 ha! It's funny. It's angry. Ah, it's crazy. You know nothing. This is why you don't have a boyfriend. No wonder you don't get anything